Dr. B will be talking about and what this is for, why we, SEI and DOST is doing this for you guys. As promised, this will be a fulfilling day for all of us. So without further ado, we shall now go on to our first talk. But before I introduce our first speaker, I've noticed that everyone is given a notebook and a pen. You guys can write down your questions for each speaker, and later on, after our last speaker has spoken, we will have an open forum question and answer portion right after that. So we have provided a microphone in the middle of the time. So if you have any questions, right away, write it down so that you don't forget it, and later on we'll give you enough time to ask those questions. Our first speaker is a physicist who hails from Cagayan de Oro State. He studied physics as a DOST SEI Merit Scholar at the Ateneo de Manila University, where he also taught for a time. He left and pursued a PhD degree at the University of Florida, and after which he served as a postdoctoral fellow for 3 years at the University of, in Ontario, Canada. For another 3 years, he was a postdoctoral research associate of CISA for the International School for Advanced Studies in Trieste, Italy. He has a deep interest in many areas of theoretical physics, but he says his current efforts are focused on understanding gravitational phenomena in a very strong gravity regime. This work interweaves many exciting subjects, such as black hole physics, alternative theories of gravity, cell force and radiation reaction in Earth space-time, and gravitational waves from compact objects. He said he likes working on research problems that require a combination of analytical and numerical tools. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, this person that I'm going to introduce to you recently established gravity group in this institute, a subgroup of theoretical physics group. In his words, we are a young and growing group, so I'm always on the lookout for hardworking, creative students who might wish to join us in exploring the mysteries of the gravitational universe. Remember that scholars, should you wish to get into physics, this is the person you should talk to. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Ian Vega.
All right, good morning. So thank you for coming. Hopefully, we'll make it worth your while. Right, so thank you for the marvelous introduction. I'm Ian Vega. I'm with the National Institute of Physics in UP Diliman. I recently returned. I think I can still say recently because I began my employment in 2016. So I've been here, my family and I have been back for about 1.5 years thus far. So first off, I'd like to thank as well the generosity of UST, Dr. Bio for having me a second time. I also was a speaker in the first tech talk last year was held in NIP, and thank you also. I'm pleased to make your acquaintance, Engineer Navini. So I'm here to talk about my life. Okay, last year I was asked to talk about space science, which I was a lot more comfortable talking about because that's just the nature of scientists. We like talking about things that are not us. Okay? Talking about ourselves takes us a bit out of our comfort zone because it's a bit personal. But the idea is hopefully by showing you what my life has been, some of you might be inspired to pursue higher degrees in science and physics in particular and become physicists like me. So my talk is Life in Physics. It's a bit presumptuous because I'm only 36 years old. There's quite a bit of life to live. So hence the subtitle, A Work in Progress. I only have a few minutes, so let's get right to it. It must first be established that nobody really understands what I do. Okay? This is a meme that I just took from the internet. Ironically enough, tend to think of science as a safe haven away from writing and reading and talking. Nothing could be farther from the truth. The activity, the act of doing science involves conveying what you have discovered, thinking properly about certain things, which in a certain sense is every bit like literature or like all the other courses that you might be trying to avoid by going to science. So there's giving talks such as this one, typically they're, like I said, more technical talks that I have a lot more comfortable talking about. And in the last 1.5 years, I've also been involved in the last few points here, which is mentoring students. It's something I'm also trying to learn at the moment. And, I'm a theoretical physicist, so specifically that's still quite broad. When one says theoretical physics, that generally just means that we think about theories. We do a lot of math, but what kind of theories do I like? I'm a specialist in gravity, so for many, many years, I've been studying gravitational phenomena. So all of you have, in some sense, you have, of course, some personal experience with gravity. I jumped and I cut down, that's gravity for you. Everybody knows what gravity is, right? But the kind of gravity that I like thinking about are very strong gravity. Okay, so this is gravity that basically goes beyond Newtonian physics. The idea, so you know Newtonian gravity from high school, the idea that basically masses attract each other with the force that scales as the inverse square of the distance between them. Right? So that's Newtonian theory for you. It explains, basically provides an explanation for why planets move around the sun and so on and so forth. Of course, Einstein changed all this. Okay? If there's one thing I want you to learn as a scientist right now, it is that this is no longer the picture of gravity we have at the moment. It hasn't been for 100 years. Newtonian physics is a very good approximation for gravitational phenomena that's weak, gravity that we experience on the surface of the Earth. But when we go to the realm of the very large and the very dense, these no longer hold as good approximations. There, the proper conception of gravity is that gravity is really a manifestation of this thing called curved space-time, a cartoon picture of which is what you see on the slide here. The idea is that the Earth, for example, does not move around the sun because it is pulled by the sun. Instead, the idea is that the sun essentially curves the space-time around it, and the Earth tries to move in a straight line as possible in this curved geometry. Because it's curved, basically straight is no longer straight, as we would typically imagine it, but that of an ellipse. Okay? So it's a different perspective, but it turns out that this very radical, very simple idea, very elegant mathematics, explains pretty much everything there is to know about the gravitational universe. Which is why I continue to be fascinated by this subject. Now, within gravity, and then gravity is all very, very encompassing as well. My favorite subject is, I've been trained over many years, is the subject of black holes, which I know sounds very fantastic, but the thing I really want to impress upon you is that these are not objects of science fiction. Black holes exist. In fact, in every galaxy that we have seen, there is a central supermassive black hole. That filter from it. Kasi hindi yan fantastic ideas. Ever since the 1970s, astronomers and physicists have amassed thousands and thousands of pieces of evidence, all pointing to the so-called black hole hypothesis. To the point that now, if you don't believe black holes, you're directly at that one. Black holes exist. And in fact, the strongest piece of evidence is what you may have heard of from last year. It's also what I talked about in the last tech talk. It was the announcement of gravitational waves, the discovery of gravitational waves just last year, which is probably going to win the Nobel Prize this year. I will show you a couple of characters whom I have been directly involved with, who have played major roles in the history of gravity. So this is what I study. Okay? I basically do I ask a lot of mathematical questions about this and try to solve them and publish papers. So, most importantly, this is the subject of this tech talk. How did I get here? Let it be clear first that basically all of us are born into this world very weak and powerless. We are only armed basically with one power, our humans. Here is with me here. I wasn't particularly happy in this picture, but with me is my mother, who is now a regional director of PSIS in Davao. But yeah, all of us look like this to some degree. But then you gradually learn. In my case, so I studied in Cagayan de Oro City. I went to this not very good grade school, but I had very good teachers, and I discovered the bug of competition very early on. I loved competition of all sorts. Whether it was speaking, writing, math, science, everything. Ang sabi nga sa akin, makakyaw. Right? And I discovered this pretty early on. But then, so yeah, and then eventually when I went to high school, I joined basically everything from, I reached the nationals on the extemporaneous speech contest. I was the Mindanao champion. I was also the Mindanao champion for the Philippine Olympiad. I didn't quite make it to the final. I only made it to 8th place in the national level, but that's so bad. But yeah, the point is it began with this competitive drive. But eventually, as is probably normal, this competitive spirit morphs into something more substantial. Okay, so you read more, and it becomes something more genuine. It transforms into the desire for genuine learning. When I was in high school, I just loved competition. Okay, but two of these two books in particular, I mean, I've read so many. In fact, it became my life. When I was a sophomore in high school, I read these two books. One of my relatively wealthy aunts was a member of this Reader's Digest thing, and she got subscriptions, and she said, "Oh, I can't possibly use up all my points. So why don't you order books for yourself?" So I ordered one, and I read them. Sophomore, I was a sophomore, and I loved them. Really loved them. I was blown away. Okay, but then you read this and you begin to think, all of the characters in this book are of white old men, most of them dead. Okay? So there is a certain distance between, somebody from a scrawny brown kid with a funny accent living in Cagayan de Oro City. There's a distance between that and the characters that you read in your book. Parang hindi pwede, di ba? How can I picture myself like that? That was the inherent question. But yes, these were very instrumental. In fact, the book on your right both of them are written in red. So I invite you to read them if you haven't yet. Many of the characters, or some of the characters in the book on the right, I will actually show you in the next slide because I actually worked with them when I went abroad. So then you go to college. There were really only two schools for me. It was either Ateneo or UP. I luckily enough qualified for the oblation and merit scholarships of both universities. But then I did the stupidest thing a high school student can, which is basically to decide on the basis of popularity. I told basically all my high school teachers asking, ano po pinakamahirap na course sa college? And all of them said physics. So I went to physics, and I went to Ateneo. And usually when I present these slides, I say sorry because it's a predominantly UP audience. They don't boo, but I know that white people. But I went to physics and I was quite happy because it was also during this time when the stipends for physics was radically increased. Yeah, it was quite a bit because I got the merit. I got these oblation and merit early, and then I took the exam. I think not sure if you get the order right. Then I got the merit scholarship also from UST, which meant that my stipend was going to be more. And what high school student doesn't like more money? So, right, so I went to Ateneo. And after then, in Ateneo, I was really very fortunate. The person who saved me, I'll show you the next few slides, was very instrumental. He was with Dr. Gerald Garcia. He basically said, when I was in third year, because I wasn't, like I said, even at that time, even though I really liked physics, I wasn't very sure about what I really wanted to do in life. I'm sure many of you aren't very certain either. I was still thinking of shifting to economics because I had taken an economics course in university and I was blown away by it as well. I was also in the debate society, so I was thinking maybe I can pursue law after this. I'm sure I can do a pretty good job at lawyering as well, becoming whatever. But then it was in third year when he said, "Oh, okay, you're pretty good." This professor said, "You're pretty good." I think it was because I was sitting at the back of the room and I asked some math question which he wasn't able to answer, and he said, "Oh, that's a good question. That's the sort of question that physicists don't normally ask. These are the questions that a mathematician asks," so that I was hooked. And from then on, he was my guiding force, essentially. And he was very adamant about me pursuing graduate school abroad. Okay? So he guided me through this whole process. So this was my path to graduate school. It's a fairly standard one. The key thing, however, is that I taught for a year after graduating. This was good because teaching you learn things 10 times better. Found a girlfriend who's not my wife, who also happens to be a physicist, now working at Ateneo. I took these things called GREs. They're basically like SATs except for physics. I did very well. I applied to 8 universities. I was admitted to 3 with scholarships. The thing about this is that typically when you apply for programs, they come with scholarships. Right? When I was waitlisted by one, unfortunately the one waitlist was the university I really wanted to get to. I got into the University of Florida, Carnegie Mellon University, the University of New Mexico, and I was waitlisted by Penn State. I really wanted to go to Penn State because I wanted to do gravity. It was really the best place in gravity at the time. So I was somewhat despondent, but not completely. Now, in the course of this process, this whole thing, I have been very fortunate, and this is a key thing in a physicist's career. It's really about finding good mentors. Okay? Kasi diba, when you think about it, like, in fact, when I look back on my own history, it's not really been all the teachers. I've had so many crappy teachers, to be honest. But it's always been this one teacher. In high school, I picked 3. In university, I had 2, but there was one who's really stood out. That's the guy right there, that's Dr. General Garcia. Okay. And through it all, there's always been this one guy, basically guiding me through the process. At the center, this is here's the pointer. Sorry. This was my PhD advisor at the University of Florida. His name is Dr. Steve Detweiler. He passed away unfortunately in 2015. Rather surprisingly, because he was actually a Boston marathoner. He had a heart attack. Apparently, this is a typical thing for marathoners. But he was a student of Subramanian Chandrasekhar. He's a Nobel Prize winner, basically, for the discovery of white dwarfs. After him, I became a postdoc. A postdoc is basically like it's like a paid position to do science. You basically only do science. You sit at your desk, you think and think and think, and solve and solve and solve. Okay? My first postdoc supervisor was Dr. Eric Awesome. Both of these, by the way, feature heavily in the book that I showed you a couple of slides back. If you read that, you will find their names there. So imagine that, right? Just a couple of years before meeting them, I looked upon these guys as superstars. Okay? And eventually I became their student. Okay? Imagine, Cagayan de Oro to being their student. That's quite a big deal. And then after that, I went to Thomas O'Keefe, who was now a professor at the University of Nottingham, but at the time he was a professor at CISA, which is the International School for Advanced Studies. And most importantly, beyond good mentors, it's also key to the success, one's success in science or in physics. It becomes a process of continued learning. Well, you cannot do this by simply being an island. So socialization is also very important. You need to be able, kasi sanay tayo na parang when you think about the scientists, walang social skills yan. Right? This is a person who hides behind his desk, who's afraid of people. But the fact is, these kinds of people don't succeed in science, unless you're Einstein. Okay? But it's not an excuse anymore. You can't hide from people with science. It's really about talking, engaging, and learning with other people. Okay? And I have benefited from all these characters in my life. So the picture at the bottom that's me. By the way, that was me when I was 24. I don't think I've changed much. This is Dr. Chow. He's now a professor at Nanjing University of China. And Dr. Carr, who's now a professor at the University of South Africa as well. And they were basically my batchmates. This guy ended up being the best in our batch at the University of Florida. I ended up being number 2. And this was fairly recently. This was taken when I was a visiting research associate at the University of College Dublin in Ireland. And this is when I was also a visiting research associate at the Yukawa Institute at Kyoto University. Both of these were taken just last 2 years ago, so fairly recent. Right. So you've seen the people involved in my life, how I got to know. This is my selling slide. So I want to show you where physics, this abstruse science that everybody seems to be allergic of, where this subject is taken. So I've shown you all these places already. So I went and did my PhD at the University of Florida. I was there for 6 years. Should have been 5.5, but then my wife and I had our first child, so we decided to postpone my dissertation writing. After that, we drove all the way. We drove intercontinental. We went up to Ontario, Canada. We drove 3 days, not quite straight, but we had a lot of friends along the way. We went to the University of Guelph in Canada. And then after that, when our kids were sufficiently sturdy, we crossed the Atlantic to go to Italy, where I worked at the so-called CISA. That's actually Scuola Internazionale. I don't even know its Italian name, but it's International School for Advanced Studies. And I was there for also 3 years. So in total, 12 years. The journey has been long. We began with 1 kid, born in the US. And then we had another kid, born in Canada. So this was taken in the winters of Canada, possibly cold winters of Canada. Then we went to a warm Mediterranean ocean, Mediterranean Sea, next to Trieste. This is my wife. This is Dr. Vega, the other Dr. Vega in our household. She's a nanoscience expert based at Ateneo. But it has been a lot of fun. Okay? So I owe all of these to physics and science. I was able to take my family to different places. This is, of course, Eiffel Tower. We were in Paris about 10 days. This is, you can't see it here, but that's the Parthenon in Athens. Point of fact, my daughter managed to go all the way. That's a rather high mountain. It's a rather high hill. My daughter was able to manage to actually climb that without any help. Well, there's steps. It's not like mountain climbing. There's steps, but it's still a hike. And now it has brought me here. This is what I consider home now. This is the National Institute of Physics at the University of Philippines, which is by far the most mature research institution in the whole country. And I can say that without grimacing. So, point of all this, it's really just one gigantic ad. And I hope many of you, or some of you, become physicists someday. It really isn't as bad as it looks. Because at least people make it appear to be. So the remaining question then is, why here? Right? That's ultimate question. Pwede naman ako maging physicist doon. Okay? I have a pretty impressive CV, impressive enough to land a job there. Why not there? And you're not the only ones thinking that. In fact, we're not special in the sense that we were somehow gifted with very forward-looking families. We also come from relatively working-class families who also had our well-being in mind. And all of them had the singular question, ba't kayo babalik? Okay? In fact, it will come in different variants. People would say, madaming magkakamatay to be in your shoes. Why give it up? Okay? Why not cash in a winning lottery ticket? Okay? My standard answer is this. But I feel I have to qualify what this means. Really, there's nothing that beats working in one's homeland. And I say that not because of some blind nationalism, because I'm not nationalistic at all. Okay? I hate this whole Pinoy pride thing because I think that's just past insecurity. But let me qualify what that means. The first thing I need to establish is that it's actually possible to become or to be a successful physicist. I am fortunate because in the National Institute of Physics, and in fact I wrote this in my employment letter, I wasn't alone, but I had mentors. I had people who came before me who have shown me how they can lead successful science lives in the country. And I invite you to look at our website. Look up any professor there, and you will see an equally impressive CV with a successful research group in the Philippines. It's just not much publicized. What you hear in the media is, okay, pasagwa dito, palpak dito. The thing is, if you look at our website, you will see an exactly different story, completely opposite. There are challenges, of course, but it is possible. And it's being shown every day at the National Institute of Physics. And I am lucky to belong to them. Because hindi ako yung nag-aalsa ng buong. They in fact are the ones lifting me up. So, how do I show that this is possible? So in the past, I've only been here 1.5 years. Again, I was thrown into teaching immediately. Our group has managed to publish 3 papers. Okay? And the most gratifying part of this job, perhaps, is for me, is that now I have students, DOST scholars, co-authoring papers with me. Okay? So this whole process of reading and drawing up research problems, math problems, I then give it to them and then we work on them together. That's essentially the idea. Okay? And slowly, I'm hoping that this is a message that echoes all throughout the Philippines. We're slowly changing the image of what it means to be an academic physicist here. Because I say, when you think about professors, when I was undergrad here, even now my family has this impression of what a physicist is. Basically, it means teacher. There's nothing wrong with that. I love teaching, right? But the thing is, when you go anywhere else in the world, a physicist, or an academic physicist, a professor, means a researcher. So an overwhelming part of my job involves mentoring, basically trying to ask questions that my students probably did not think for themselves. Okay? Leading them, helping them solve their research problems. This takes time. Okay? This takes a lot of time. Hindi siya madali. Okay? And the job of a theoretical physicist, or a physicist in general, involves a process of continued learning, as I said. So sometimes I go back to my family, my mother's side. The mother's side of my family is based in Fairview. It's very far. I often go there on Sundays. And, Sundays right before Monday, so they see me writing up lecture notes, preparing for my students. And the comment I always get is, di ba doktor ka na? Ba't ka pa nag-prepare? Ba't dapat master mo na yan? You see the impression that we have of physicists? It's supposed to be a process of it never ends. Okay? And in fact, somebody who's like that, who does not study anymore, that's not a physicist. That's a deadweight professor basically coasting. We don't need those kinds of people here in the Philippines. But we managed to publish a paper. And in fact, very recently, with the help of grants that I should talk about, there are now generous grants from the government, from UP, allowing basically physicists here to function like physicists anywhere else in the world. So much of my time also gets spent on grant management. I have to manage my money. Okay? It's a bit difficult because it's not money that's really with me. It's money with UP, and then I have to apply, do a lot of paperwork to justify having to spend it in certain ways. But it's managed to bring us here. So this CAPRA meeting, it's a very intense workshop, 1-week workshop, that I've been a part of ever since CAPRA 9. Okay? And I've been a member of it. I've practically grown up as a physicist, as a member of this international group. And I was away for 1 year. I didn't attend last year's meeting. And people thought that, it's because, he's basically been swallowed by the bureaucracy of the Philippines, which is typical. It was expected. And then I showed up this year, just a couple of weeks ago, coming with my 2 students. You might notice my 2 students here who are not very with us, who don't look very happy. But I managed to bring them. And again, there was this impression when I spent. So I spent a lot of money on these 2 students. And again, my family, abuna kasi, why do you spend on these students? Why don't you just spend it on yourself? You're wasting all this money bringing them to the States. That's not the job of a good mentor. My job is to basically try to give them the experience that I was given when I was my PhD student myself. And I'm trying my best with the resources that I have to try to replicate the experience for Filipinos who are studying here. Hardworking Filipino students who are here. Students who probably had the same dreams as me when they were in high school. And they got a chance just Both of them, by the way, are PhD students. Sorry, USD scholars as well. They're still waiting for their funding, but they're very grateful for the source of income. So again, let me just end with I prepared something here which I'd like to read. I typically don't read, but this is a very important message. I'm going to read it. Your experience will probably almost be very similar to mine. To go abroad, to work there, people will stop you from coming back. They will give you the usual spiel of, hindi naman kayo na-appreciate, you will not be appreciated here. And this particularly goes, this double on theoretical physicists like me. Kasi di ba, ano nga ba ang relevance ng theory for a country such as ours? I deal with rather abstruse concepts, I have to admit. Big ideas of Einstein. So I want to read something I actually read last year because I think it's an important message to convey about the powers that be. So here's what I said last year. I'm saying it again now. It's a bigger audience. I really think we should stop thinking about big ideas, things that I study, and many others in the NIP as a province of the rich. This is not a luxury we cannot afford. I think these ideas are human heritage, human being the key word, and we don't become any less human because we have less money, or at least we're not supposed to. We have every right to take big ideas, make them our own, engage in a conversation with the greats, to participate in this human endeavor to constantly make sense of the world around us. All of us want to make sense of the world around us, whether the world that we see directly in front of us or the world out there. So we don't stop our children from asking questions simply because they don't have tangible ROIs or clear economic value. You can't put a price tag on curiosity. We let them ask, right? Sino bang tatay nito? You're not going to stop your kids from asking questions simply because walang katuturan yan. Study engineering, or study something that has clear economic impact. No parent will do that. That's ludicrous. We let them ask. In fact, we encourage them to ask. Because the pursuit of truth makes them better people. Because we know that understanding and learning represents progress, real progress, even if it might resist financial valuation. Now, I am back here largely because of this belief. It's a philosophical belief. Part of my job, our jobs as scientists, is to be merchants of optimism, of hope. And I strongly believe that the most efficient way to perform this task is not by serving as another cute anecdote of a scientist making it big in the US or in Europe. You have a number of those already, if you haven't noticed. Marami na, people succeeding abroad. Right? To really be a merchant of optimism, one really has to be here, for me, at least this is what I do. You can also be the inspiration also serves a purpose. But we are most efficient by essentially fighting in the trenches. Fighting here. Okay? And so this means reaching out to kids who have read books. Because of the books they've read, have managed to construct dreams of their own, much like I did when I was in high school. And mentoring them personally, directly, actively transforming those dreams into a reality. That is our job as physicists, as scientists. That is what we cannot do if we were alone. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ian. Let's give Mr. Dr. Vega another round of applause. So now, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. And let me just remind you, since most of you or all of you are given notebooks and pens, please write down the questions that you have in mind right now. We'll give you time later on to ask those questions to our speakers for today. So as we move on, our next speaker also has a cool story to share. Here with us is a person who worked behind the scenes in the development of our first micro satellite. You guys remember Diwata 1? Well, she is one of the key figures in that milestone. This former ASTH-RDP fellow is continuously contributing in the country as she leads one of the high-impact projects of DOST, the Philippine Scientific Earth Observation Microsatellite Program, or best known as PhilMicrosat. This project paved the way to launch our very first ever microsatellite in space, the Diwata 1, which is last year. And already it has captured high-resolution images that may be useful in agriculture, climate change, disaster risk management, environment monitoring, and other applications. Aside from space technology, she is also interested in the operation of the supercomputer IBM Blue Gene/B, which is capable of predicting the effects of climate change. She finished her BS Applied Physics, MS in Physics, and PhD in Physics degrees, all at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Dr. Paris was also a postdoctoral fellow at the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, at their Goddard Space Flight Center, Hydrospheric and Biospheric Sciences Laboratory. Now she's back here in the country to lead many projects related to environmental monitoring and management, space, and many others. Currently, she is imparting her knowledge to students as an associate professor at the UP Institute of Environmental Science and Management. And in 2009, she was awarded with a DOST-PCHRD Outstanding Dissertation in Advanced Science and Technology Award in recognition of her outstanding work in the field of research. Truly, there's no slowing down for this proud DOST Scholar graduate. Friends, let's welcome with a big round of applause, Dr. Gay J. Pence.
A pleasant morning to everyone. Hello, good morning. Okay, thank you for that wonderful introduction, and of course, thank you to DOST-SEI. Okay, so allow me to start by sharing with you how my last Saturday was. It's not a typical weekend for me. I was thousands of miles away from home, standing inside a library, not a library, but a bookstore. Pareho naman, maraming books. Okay, standing in a bookstore in a small town in UK called Guildford. So here, there's a special section called Smart Thinking, which has an excellent collection of cool and quirky books. The two books you saw earlier are here in this section, and you can see a lot more. Now, I'm browsing the titles and found this one that attracts my attention. It's called Critical Mass. So the first thing you do is to look at the back cover, right? The cover of the book. So it's a book talking about how one thing leads to another. So looking at the back cover, things started to become familiar. So first off, I just realized that the author of this book is the same science writer who featured our work more than a decade ago. So, so it's panicky mice find flaws in exit route. So that was like my task. So then something hits me. Is it possible that he cited our work? So I look at the list of references at the back, and there it was, 2 of our papers that was published based on my undergraduate thesis. Okay. So then I start looking at the pages. So the challenge was, where in the book did he cite it? And of course, did he cite it favorably? Okay. So let me read it to you. So it says, researchers at the University of the Philippines have run real-world tests of models of human escape panic by watching mice swim to safety through a doorway in a flooded chamber. They found modes of behavior similar to those seen in their computer models. After reading that, of course, I felt some sense of pride. It's usual to have our work cited in other researchers' papers, but to see it in a popular science book, it's really something. So, a few hours later on the same day, I was standing on top of the graves of Sir Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Rutherford Herschel, and surrounded by memorials dedicated to Dirac, Faraday, and Maxwell. At Westminster Abbey, these scientists are lying alongside queens and kings, a true testament on how a nation pays tribute and recognizes the contribution of scientists for new knowledge and advancement. So those two events last Saturday reminded me of how lucky I was to have this career, to walk the path less traveled, to do science in my own beloved country. Back home, it's quite lucky to be back home. So these are things I often tell myself every time my plane lands in NAIA, from attending international conferences, training, workshops, things like I did last week. So all of these trips comes with a bond, a promise that I will share whatever I learn to my colleagues and to my students. That I will try my best to use these newly learned tools to solve the most pressing problems that our country currently faces. How much time will be asked for me to do this? 6 months? 2 years? 4 years? 10 years? For as long as it takes, I guess. Service bonds are oftentimes found to be restrictive and intimidating. I myself thought of it that way when I first had my scholarship from DOST-PCHRD when I was an undergraduate student. With a return service of 5 years, I worked as an instructor while getting my master's and PhD, thinking that after I get my degree, it's just the right time, I will be free, and I can do whatever I want. And so the day came, I got my final clearance from SEI. So it's like, okay, so I can now move on to a new chapter in my life. But then there's an interesting thing that happened as soon as I got my clearance. My advisor told me that DOST is supporting postdoc fellowship. Okay? So my first reaction was, no, hindi na. Tama na, okay, nag-libre na nga ako, di ba? So, papasok na naman ako sa bagong kontrata. Okay? But then my advisor went on and said, babe, with this scholarship, or fellowship, you can go to wherever university or institutions you want. You can apply at Harvard, Caltech, MIT, Cambridge. So after hearing that, I'm like, okay, a few minutes later, I'm writing emails to professors from these universities. For some time, I felt I was a spammer. But actually, I got responses. So filled with optimism, my advisor later on told me, okay, May, what happened to your applications? So maybe you can stop applying. I already found a postdoc position for you. And I'm like, okay, so where's that? Then he said, it will be at NASA. So, did I hear it right? Saan po? Nasaan? NASA. Okay. So DOST will be sending me to NASA. So for at what for I mean what's in return? I mean, what's the contract? 10 years? I mean 2 years, 10 years? Does it really matter? So at that point, I was just too eager to sign it for this rare opportunity of doing my postdoc at NASA. So there, I could say it's one of the finest moments in my life. I met astronauts, engineers who build the space shuttle and operate the International Space Station, scientists who are painstakingly understanding the universe and the dynamic planet Earth. So all of them are working together to achieve this vision, to reach new heights and reveal the unknown so that what we do and all will benefit all humankind. So that's the motto of NASA. And the key is you have all these players, scientists, engineers, social scientists working together. So despite NASA being recognized as the most liked place to work with in the US, okay, I left NASA and come back home. Why? So this illustration came in few days after Highland. So it shows our country and the reasons why it has been prone to disaster. So the Philippines is ranked as the third most disaster-prone country in the world for many reasons. So we lie along the Ring of Fire, so there are many there's high probability of earthquake, volcanic events. Okay. We also get several typhoons in a year, 19 to 21 on the average. Um, most of our population lives along the coast, and with the ever rising temperature, it's also prone to sea level rise. Okay. Deforestation, underdevelopment, among others. So why do science elsewhere when the problem is here? So that's my primary reason for coming back. It's also very timely that when I got back, DOST are supporting several projects that would harness what I learned at NASA. So using satellite images, we can look at different parameters that will help us understand better most of these hazards and help us become more resilient. So in the introduction, so there was a mention of me being involved in using the supercomputer, which we use to run models for weather forecasting, and also being involved in the microsatellite project, the first Philippine
The factors or human reasons why we do what we do, why we decided to come home. Um, in contrast to the two speakers, they're on the hard science, physics. Tres nga lang ako sa physics eh. Sorry Tres nga lang ako sa physics eh. And I had two physics in college. Tres. But early on, really early on, I know I'm going to go into social science. So, my field is actually development economics, policy science, agricultural economics, So, ikikwento ko sa inyo is, why did I come home? Bakit ako nag-return of the combat? Okay? So, this is journey back to the Philippines. Familiar is Facebook. You must have done this before. Yes? Yes? I did it. And it said, Japanese daw ako. Well, based on the face analysis, Japanese daw ako. But it's not really untrue because my family name is a very common Japanese family name, Akino. Akino in Japanese means autumn field. In fact, my Japanese family name has a kanji character that means that. So my Japanese classmates used to think of me as Nikkei-jin. Nikkei-jin means second generation Japanese. Ibig sabihin, ang tatay ko, Hapon. Pero ang sabi ko sila, Pinoy po ako. And the next question that they would ask is, if you're Filipino, how are you related to Philippine President Cory Aquino? Ang sabi ko, and this has been asked of me many times before by my classmates in international conferences, seminars and workshops, how are you related to the Aquinos? Ang sagot ko, very standard. We have the same land. They're the landed, I'm landless. Yeah? But indeed, I'm Filipino. Pinoy na Pinoy po ako. Sa kulay ko na nga lang eh. Diba ba? But Pinoy po ako. But my relation to Japan is because I pursued my PhD in agricultural economics from this university. It's a very beautiful campus. There are many, when I was admitted for an interview sa Japanese embassy for a probable scholarship, para ko nag-machine gun ng mga application forms ko sa admission. You know, I just sent. And luckily, I was admitted to 5 or so universities in Japan. One of them is a dream university, supposedly Kyoto University. But then, yung pinakalas na nag-admit sa akin, sabi niya, I'm so and so professor. I'm Kikuchi. Maybe you know the book on this. Kung yung professor na yon ang magiging professor ko, at naging professor niya yung pinakamatanyag na development economist in Japanese whose name is Hayami, siguro, pag siyang naging professor ko, baka maampiasan ako ng galing niya. Yeah? Kasi in Japanese system, it's like mentoring. You have a sensei, and ako, para akong craftsman. So, sunod-sunuran ako sa kanya. So maybe, that's why I chose to study in this university. And I was a Mambushya scholar, or Ministry of Education scholar from 1994 to 1996, but my PhD started formally in 1996. Now, paano ako napapunta sa Japan? Siguro ang tanong ganito. Because I was then with Picard, and I just came back from a research fellowship in the Netherlands. Sa gobyerno, pagkararating mo lang, kababalik mo lang, hindi ka pwedeng palabasin ka agad for another foreign scholarship. So there was a big debate in my office because here is Albert trying to ask again for a leave because mag-aaral na siya. So, this is the narrative. But, ang compromise na binigay sa akin ng Peter is, we would let you go on study leave without pay. Take note ha, study leave without pay. Sabi ko, okay lang, mas malaki naman yung allowance ko. But, the most critical question that was asked of me is, but after you got your PhD, will you come back? Medyo napatahimik po ako doon. Kasi siyempre, I was then 32 years old. Napatahimik ako doon kasi, you know, you're 32, you've got your life ahead of you. And here's a scholarship in Japan for 4 years. Mabalik pa ba ako dito? But here's my answer. Since I will be on study leave without pay, honestly, I do not have a legal obligation to come back. But I have a moral obligation to return. I don't have a legal obligation to come back, but I have a moral obligation to return. So babalik po ako. Promise, Queen, promise. Let's analyze my situation, and this also refers to the two previous speakers, about trying to systematize our understanding of the decisions that we make, what decisions we make, and why we do what we do. And this kind of push and pull factors are typical models to explain leisure-seeking behavior ng tao. There are push and pull factors why we decide to return. Ano yung push factor? It originates from an intangible or intrinsic desire of individual returning. Siyan, sige.
May pinacheck na echo.
You know, an intrinsic desire. Gusto kong bumalik eh. From me. From the individual. Yung pull factor is, yung babalikan mo, meron ba siyang characteristics or features or attributes that attracts you to come back? Let's see my case. Anong push factor? Remember, ano yung push factor ulit? Intrinsic desire. Diba ga? I want to reunite with all people and places dear and familiar. My family, my friends. Los Baños. I love Los Baños. The Philippines. Totoo yun. It's more fun in the Philippines. Totoo talaga yun. Sa Japan, very convenient. Trains are on time, very clean. Dito, ang dami-daming traffic, ang dami kung ano-ano. But that's what makes it fun, don't you think? And to explore and deepen expertise in my field. Pero ito talaga, medyo talagang may tinig sa puso eh. May tusok sa puso pala. I have to fulfill a moral contract. Why? Sinabi ko kasi sa DOST, babalik ako. Pero pinaaral ako ng gobyerno eh. I was from UPLB. Sa totoo lang, mula pa nung high school ako, pinaaral na ako ng gobyerno. Wala akong binayaran tuition fee. Nung nasa UPLB ako, binayaran ko lang library fee, 1650 pa ata. I have book allowance and so on. Master's ko, bigger din siya. So sa totoo lang, you're looking at somebody who is a product of scholarship. Huwag niyo nang tanungin kung anong buhay ko kasi sa MMK din yun. Sa totoo lang, because orphan ako. But that's another story. Sa susunod na tech talk na lang yun. Now, pull factors. Los Baños, it's green, it's clean and beautiful. Tignan mo naman ang aking pinagtatrabahuhan. This is DOST-PCHRD in Los Baños. Nasa likod ko makiling. If you look at my room sa office, kita ko ang bundok makiling. So pag nagagalit ako dun sa staff ko, tumatalikod na lang ako, tinitignan ko na lang yung bundok. And who wouldn't love the green UPLB? I have this. Now, kung yung push and pull factor converges, ito ang resulta. Pinauwi ka agad. Pagkatapos mo ng thesis defense mo, sabi ng aking boss, umuwi ka lang kaagad because we're gonna send you to Paris. So, wow, Paris, di ba ako nakarating doon? Pagdating ko doon, General Equilibrium Model, sabi ko, ano ba ito? Napasukan ko. Akala ko pa rin Louvre Museum ang titignan ko, or Eiffel Tower, Champs-Élysées. I can do that on weekend. But indeed, that's the challenge. And all these outputs and achievements I had because this push and pull factor converged. I was able to go to Tanzania, to Africa, to wherever as international consultants because PCHRD granted me leave of absence. And sabi nila, you specialize on policy analysis. And to get Albert, I think you were part of this one. The former Secretary Alabaster said, PCHRD, you're going to backstop Congress pass a law on technology transfer. Sabi ng boss ko, Albert, sabi ni Secretary, tayo daw mag-lead. Sabi ko sa kanya, go. Sabi ng boss namin, our former Executive Director of Finance said, kung go, ikaw ang igogo ko. And indeed, I think, ang masasabi ko na lang sa aking mga pamangkin, for posterity's sake, if there's a law that maybe makikita mo yung imprint ng ating contribution, it's this Republic Act 10,055 or the Technology Transfer Act of 2009, which is the Technology Transfer Act of the Philippines that provides an enabling policy environment for technology generation and technology transfer to prosper in this country. Ngayon, ano ang role ng aking organization or agency in making this happen? Unang-una, there was a tactical and almost proactive shaping of my career path. Hindi ako pinabayaan. They said, you specialize on this because we need this. Pangalawa, my office then was generous enough to let me go on leave for a while so that I could hone my expertise as consultant, as an economist. And pangatlo, more than the mga awards, I have those awards ng mga most outstanding, blah, blah, blah. I had those. But more than that, I think it's this trust and confidence that the agency provides you that indeed your work matters. Sa totoo lang, yung most outstanding technical staff sa PCHRD carries it with about 20,000 pesos. During my time, 20,000 pesos, pwede na ako magpakain ng buong barangay. But more than that, it's that trust and confidence that the office affords you, that indeed your work matters. And I think that is echoed by both Ian and Dave. They know, they feel that their work matters. So, ano ang takeaway message natin dito? And these takeaway messages, I think, is for all of us, especially ang DOST. Unang-una, there are many ways to influence yung intrinsic desire of people to come back. Katulad ko, nung tinanong ako ng, pero babalik ka ba? Ang sabi ko na lang kasi po may moral obligation. PCHRD was so strategic in asking the right question. Na parang pag tinanong ka ng gano'n, ano sasagot ko? No. Eh di sabi nila, kung hindi ka pala babalik, eh hindi ka alis. Diba? Pangalawa, the science workplace should be able to provide a platform and recognition for these professionals, science professionals, to further their respective craft and expertise. Ito mensahe para sa DOST at para sa ating mga agencies, especially the only national university in the Philippines. Okay. Yan. Tama? Pangatlo, yung science work environment, although very challenging, we are not a first world country. We're a developing country. Dapat yung scientific work environment is resource enough. For the past 5 years or so, I think this is not the situation anymore of the UST. The UST has money oozing out of its ears. Tama ba yun, ma'am? Tama ba yun? Tama ba yun? Oozing out of its ears eh. No, but indeed, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, Albert, you know this. Halos walang pera ang DOST to fund, to provide research grants. But not anymore. That's why we have 24,000 scholars. That's why we have grants to the hundreds of millions of pesos. Isang project lang yun. Saan ka nakakita ng isang project more 120 million pesos? Sabi ko, parang agency na yun. But we're talking of only one project. So, this resource enough and dealing with opportunities for excellence in science. This is my dream. So that all of you guys who are into science stay. The country will provide you with the opportunities and it will provide you with the laboratories and all the research assistants and technical technicians that you need to further. Ipapadala kayo sa abroad, pag-aaralin kayo wherever you want to go. But please don't go back. So sa akin, ang masasabi ko lang, ako is a very good example among many that yung scientific capability development and incentive systems natin sa Pilipinas works. It works. Look at me. Kasi the mere fact na nagsasalita ako dito sa harap ninyo means that it works. And I have to thank DOST for shaping my career in social science. And on top, maraming salamat po. 15 minutes po.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aquino, for your 15 minutes. And of course, I'm sure everyone has enjoyed all the stories, the talks that our speakers have shared for this morning. So I'm inviting everyone for an open forum as promised. I'm sure you guys have jotted down your questions for our speakers. We have provided a mic in the middle, so if you guys would have a question, feel free to stand up. Don't be shy. It's just us in this room. Okay, so we're limiting it to 5 questions or 5 people. So we're limiting to 5 people or 5 questions? 5 people with 10 questions each. Okay, so yes, we're limiting it to 5 people. So gather up your questions, give it to the person who has a stronger confidence. So first question, anybody? Don't be shy. We just need that one person to start everything. The ball will start rolling. Anyone? Anybody who wants me to read their question? Come on. First person to ask a question will receive a 1,000 pesos. I just do. Question, reaction, anything, idea. It doesn't have to be about the topic that the people have mentioned or talked about. It has to be, even if it's an idea based on the experience that they had. And I'm sure you guys will go through in the near future. Here we go. Brave soul. How about a round of applause?
I'm just listening for Jeff from Data Science.
And your question is for?
What were your motivations in studying all the kinds of science you learned in your life? What were your motivations?
All right, so we'll just do this bit fast. Dr. Vega, your motivation in picking up physics? Just to make it easier and shorter.
I have the easiest answer to that. Just sheer interest in the beginning. So yeah, I mean, that's the short answer. My inclinations were always towards math, so I said I kind of like math a lot. But then, so the issue in my case was not the field itself, it was how to channel my interests in math to useful things. When I was deciding on a course in university, aside from the university scholarship, that was kind of nice, cherry on the ice cream, so to speak. My father really wanted me to become an actor. So, in fact, one of my teammates in high school and we're together for macro PLM. So he ended up becoming an actor. He's easily 1,000 times wealthier than me. So, so my father wanted me to do that instead. But I think it was by sheer force of interest that I just went to physics. It's simple answer.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vega. Dr. Farah?
For me, it's about the joy of doing research. So it's not really the field itself. As you may realize, I'm now doing more of the applied physics and looking at the environment now, looking at meteorology. So it's not the subject matter, it's the environment that allowed me to do research. I always like this feeling of eureka or discovery. So when I do things, I write my program, it worked, I, I discover something out of it, that keeps me going. So I guess and I find that environment early on at the National Institute of Physics, and it drove me to where I am right now.
Thank you very much. Dr. Tino?
About what drove me into social science is because of one thing that I didn't like. Truth be told, when I got into UPLB, ang first course ko was chemistry. And I didn't like the thought that I would spend 12 hours of my daily life in the laboratory. But I like discovering behavior of people. What are the reasons behind things? Mas interesado ako dun sa pag-aaral ng decision making ng tao. So it was an unfolding rather than an outright decision or parang intrinsic sa kanya katulad ni na I just like physics. Ako pagpasok ko yung chemistry, I like chemistry. Yung second year ako, actually I don't like chemistry.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tino. Round of applause for the first question. I hope they answered your question. And for our second question, please state your name first, your school, and to whom you're addressing the question to.
Hello everyone, I'm Magic Ricardo from UPLB, and well, my question, well, I'm still the phase where I don't know what to do with my life. Well, thank you for all the speakers. At least I got one piece of the puzzle figured out. Now I know where. For my question, on the way here, I was reading Paul Fryer's Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and when I saw Dr. Gay's slide on reaching with critical mass, I would just want to hear your thoughts or ideas. How how can we deal with this anti-intellectual culture that we have in the country? And yes, thoughts, ideas.
Nandito kayo sa
Okay. I think you've been hearing it over and over again. And I did not explicitly mention it, hence I don't
Nandito ako sa PTTC.
It's scattered.
TikTok.
So,
Hello.
you saw it from both of our speakers. And I want to say also,
Ano pare?
all of these were made
Ilan nag-aalala
possible
sa
because I had a good mentor. Dr. Cesar Saloma, who is a distinguished Filipino physicist, scientist. So it's an anti-intellectual culture. Sad to say, it's true. And actually, it's unfortunately rooted in the family.
Ano EBP sa mga parang DOST-TV?
Family that is already
Sa DOST-TV?
academic or
EBP?
scientific line. In my case, both my parents were just that. And it's very difficult to explain to them why I need to spend not just 12 hours, but maybe 15 hours in the lab including Christmas and Halloween. What are you doing? But there are people, people around the scientists who have gone ahead of us, who are imparting their experiences. These are what we call mentors. These are very critical, I think. And DOST is doing a great job in, especially SEI, in doing these intervention programs. So it's not just about giving money for scholars. It's about making the scholars understand why DOST is giving you money. Why are you being asked to study? Why are you given this opportunity? So maybe Mom Josette can expound on that later on. But I think the key is mentoring. It's not teaching, it's mentoring.
I've been in this business for quite some time already. In my previous life, that was 2 years and a half ago, because I'm now with an international agency that deals with development assistance. But in my previous life, this is my take on your question. It's a very good question, actually. And I think the root of all of these is because we make science so exclusive. It became so exclusive na tayo-tayo lang nakakaintindi. I think we have to make science inclusive. Bring science to the people. Pag hindi naintindihan, ang sagot doon, bobo ka pala eh, ay hindi ko siya naintindihan. Ang sagot doon, or the proper approach to that one should have been, okay, let us break it down into chewable pieces. Alin ba dyan ang naintindihan mo? Alin dyan ang hindi natin naintindihan? Pag-aralan natin yung lahat. And we would let the evidence or the data tell the story. Siguro kung gano'n ang ating approach, that we become more inclusive, that we became more patient in explaining bit by bit, maybe there would be this antagonism against science and anything intellectual may be minimized. Basta ang sinasabi ng professor ko noon, bago ko uwi dito, sabi niya sa akin, Albert, hindi, sabi niya sa akin, Roberto Toussaint. Sabi niya, kasi hapon eh, Roberto Toussaint. But mind you, my professor can speak Tagalog. Sabi niya, Roberto Toussaint. Pag umuwi ka sa Pilipinas and you're going to do social science research, ang request ko lang sa'yo, let your data tell the story. Let your data tell the story. Otherwise, fake news yun.
Yeah, so I have very strong opinions about this development. I think so first off, there are always stupid people everywhere. It's not restricted to our country. You go to the US, there's not dumber. Okay, or you. Okay? It's not the exclusive domain of our country. That's point one. Okay? And so with anti-that, there's always a bias against whatever this intellectualism is. Mahirap eh. Even in our day-to-day lives, we make decisions based on gut feeling. It's part of who we are as human beings. We evolved to become this. Most of our decision making is based on the barest of facts. So, yun yung talaga natural. It's whatever we're looking for is more intelligent approach to handling day-to-day affairs. This is something that's still and it takes years of training. Okay. The second question that was raised, remember, is somewhat more pertinent now because, well, the world has become smaller and access to information is basically very easy, right? Which is why I think there really has to be a pushback and a pushback to slow things down. Okay? We see information, we see stuff. Can I ask the basic questions? Can I ask basic questions about what I'm seeing? It's not for everything. I mean, for things that matter. Kailangan. You get that. The question is how do we make this more prevalent? This practice. Well, I'd like to think that education has a major role to play in this. And mentoring as well. But even before that, even before you get to the professional stage, say mentoring, yeah, it's very important for us to become scientists. But even before that, even sa school pa lang sa grade school. And I say this, I said I have very strong opinions kasi marami na akong nakaaway sa grade school ng government. Precisely because of the way they teach things. Kasi tapos na dapat yung stage na parang puro lang tayo presentation of facts. Kasi hindi ka dapat yun eh. Kasi madali lang yun eh. Information is very cheap these days. So technical, there's important data that's hard to access. We actually have to invest money for it. But by and large, many of the things that sometimes the science teachers teach, or the speech, or the science teachers teach, they're accessible online. The thing is, how do you make a narrative out of that? How do you make a sensible story for you out of that? What kinds of questions, critical questions can you ask? Now then, doing these things requires some pausing, some reflection. So kaya kailangan yung education kasi dapat yun ang tinuturo sa high school pala. And just to connect with what we're here for, our role as scientists, yun yung key thing. Kasi nga, sabi nga Dr. Pez, we still haven't achieved this critical mass of scientists for us to legitimately say that we have a viable, mature scientific culture here. Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Which is why, for all of us, much of the responsibility also lies in improving the education at the lower levels. I actually very strongly believe in this. That's just why I'm involved in training IPHO. I'm also involved in the learning materials because I have a vested interest in seeing the education of my children actually keep good. Kasi pag nakikita mo, it's horrible. The first learning guides I saw, what the hell? It's absolutely disheartening. So nagsisimula rin. And I think that is why education is now, so Dr. Grant, I come up from a relatively well-educated family. So my mother's side is practically UP and Ateneo educated. My father's side is practically Ateneo educated. My mother went to UP, my dad went to Ateneo. My tito was the valedictorian of Ateneo College. And yet, they're just as anti-intellectual as the rest of the families. And it's not because well, when I said I was going to be, I was very into science at that. I'm going to think of science with my uncle actually had my best interest in mind, and I think many of you have these families as well, because I'm sure many of your parents are also educated, and they also have your best interest in mind. So he actually brought me to this Makati office somewhere. I was very young at the time. He showed me all his pictures with the presidents. You can be this if you choose an actor to be. Choose an actor. That's it. And then he was saying something, Dr. Lyric was my classmate. He would have been a great man had he chosen something else other than chemistry. What? This is the kind of culture we have to combat with. It's not just at the level of parang those views, it's also among the educated classes who basically do not conceive of science as a legitimate option for people who have brains. And I think if there's one thing I want to read, is that from all of us, there are opportunities out there. You just have to work hard. That's the one thing that's common in all countries. Kahit na saan man kayo pumasok, you always have to work hard for success. Ang kaibahan lang sa amin, we work hard and then we like it. Bonus with that.
Thank you very much to our speakers, and a round of applause for your questions, for asking them, and of course for them answering. And right now we move on to our closing remarks. And before, yes.
Before mag-closing remarks, pagdagdag na ako. Totoo yung sinabi ni Sir Albert kanina na maraming pera ang DOST. In fact, ngayon ang target natin is we are supporting like 24,000 for 2018 as per budget, draft target National Expenditure Plan of the Department of Budget and Management, we will be expanding it to 29,000 by 2018. So, target natin for the undergraduate scholarship, usually we only allot in the past mga 3,000, for the past 2 years na 5,000 tayo. Ngayon, ito 12 kasi, so hindi natin na meet ang slot ng 6,000, but for 2018, ang target natin is 89,000 slots for the undergraduate levels. And we're also expanding the scholarship program for MS and PhD. So totally, we have 19 universities na partner natin na nag-deliver ng graduate programs natin for science, that's PTTC for all areas of sciences. Then for engineering, for engineers who like to pursue their MS and PhD, that's the engineering research and development for technology. And for science and math teachers, we also offer MS and PhD scholarships, no? Capacity building for teachers. So totally, my 19 universities tayo in the country, but because of the expanding program, nagdagdag tayo ng 13 more universities, no? They are not necessarily part of the consortium, but nagbibigay tayo ng scholarship sa kanilang mga faculty to strengthen their graduate program so that eventually, in 1 or 2 years, they can already deliver our graduate programs. Itong mga universities are in the region para maging mas inclusive yung ating scholarship programs na yung mga ibang estudyante hindi na pupunta ng Manila. Kasi one of the reasons why they don't pursue MS and PhD is because they don't want to leave their families. But of course, pinagandahan natin yung mga programa nila. Pinapadala natin yung faculty nila for scholarships not only in the best universities here in Manila but also outside the country. We have partnerships with universities in UK, in US, in Malaysia, and engineering. So you can avail of these scholarships when you plan to pursue your MS and PhD. Go to the best universities here in the Philippines or to the best universities abroad. The DOST-PCHRD is indeed a package of opportunities for you to hone your skills, to enjoy life, no? And also to contribute to nation building. May isa pa kaming programa na tinatawag Career Incentive Program. Sometimes, pag natapos mo yung MS or even PhD, hindi pa kaagad makahanap ng trabaho. DOST-SEI will hire you through our Career Incentive Program. Ngayon, may mga siguro 50 na kaming na-hire ng mga MS and PhD and we deploy them to research institutions. Ngayon sa mga research institutions under DOST, but eventually, we also want to deploy them to universities to help build the capabilities of these universities. Yung mga food technology programs like DOST are manned by our MS and PhD graduates. So, just graduates natin, we pay them 46,000 a month, ang PhD na 46 not enough. But to start with, medyo okay na ito, no? And eventually, most of them na na-hire natin through the Career Incentive Program are also hired by other government agencies with planetary positions. So maraming possibilities. Yes, sir, tama. Marami kaming pera. So avail of these opportunities.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vito. And we've come to the closing moments of this activity. As we wrap this up, we invite everyone to listen to the message of one dependable leader of the Department of Science and Technology. Friends, deliver the closing remarks of Dr. Harold Yorovic, DOST Undersecretary for Science and Technology Services. Let's welcome on stage the Deputy Director of the Science Education Institute, Mr. Albert Green.
I was tasked to deliver the message of Yusek Robert because she's attending an emergency. So I have to read it. So good morning, everyone. And first, I want to express our gratitude to the DOST scholars who accepted our invitation to this talk. And may I request to stand up as I read or call their schools. First, yung kaninang tumayo, which is the Pasay Science Integrated National High School. We also have Santi National High School. And then there's another one, Adamson University. Lua. So, dito in Delasan University, Manila, alma mater. And then Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Manila. PUP Taguig. Technological University of the Philippines, Taguig. University of the East. UP Tiliman and UP Los Baños. City University of Pasay. Papua Institute of Technology. Cotabato Foundation College of Science and Technology. Ayun to. Cotabato. University of Perpetual Health, Molino. So maraming salamat sa inyo lahat for attending this tech talk. Thank you for finding time to learn more from some of our very credible and experienced experts like Dr. Albert Aquino, yung former colleague ko from another council, sana po transfer. Dr. Ian Vega, and then Dr. Nick Perez, naging popular sa evaluation ng mga projects that I was shared. And then I assure you that the talks you are about to listen, or you have listened to, will be nothing short of insightful and inspirational too. We do this with the simple goals of giving you a chance to interact, collaborate, and meet scientists who have interesting life pieces. You'll get to know the reasons behind them pursuing excellence, and here and then overseas, and then ultimately back here in the Philippines. The talks provided a great balance between training and being inspired. Of course, these types of talks, we hope to encourage you to go into science, technology, engineering, and mathematics or STEM careers once you graduate. As scholars, you are more than qualified to lead in the future through STEM. And opportunities for further studies and careers are certainly not lacking. Today, increasing the number of STEM professionals remains to be one of the priorities of the Department of Science and Technology to enable us to be at par with the developed nations. Our neighbors in ASEAN and Asia have all taken notice of science and technology's importance in improving the economies and people's lives in general. Some of them have become really successful. I'm referring to Japan, China, South Korea, Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, and even Vietnam. So we can use their game plan as a model for our own development. And you could be a big player or in executing such a game plan. In this light, we hope this tech talk can make you aware of the benefits and tools of being in STEM. As you are right now, our speakers today are former DOST scholars, like you, who have been successful in their chosen fields. Most of them found opportunities outside the country. They've been exposed to advances that we only hear and witness on TV or see in the internet. To them, innovation is not just another favorite buzzword. They know how science and technology changes lives from all corners of society, and surely they believe that the same can be done here. They know how to get there, and you are supposed to be part of that effort. This Tech Talk hopes to stick us together, starting now until achieve such growth led by science. I wish everyone a ton of learnings. Thank you for accepting our invitation. I hope you have enjoyed every day. Enjoyable day. Thank you. Buhay po tayo.
Thank you very much, Sir Albert Marino, and of course, for reading you know, this message to us. And of course, to appreciate, show our appreciation to our speakers for today, we shall award them with a certificate of appreciation for the BOST SEI. And in doing this, we call in SEI Director Dr. Giuseppe in front to be joined by Deputy Director Albert Carino and Ms. Ruby Cristobal of Science, Technology, Manpower, Education, Research, and Promotions Division Chief to present the certificates to our following speakers. Dr. Ian Vega, Dr. James Jane Harris, and Dr. Albert. And may we have our three speakers to join everyone in front. There you go. Once again, another round of applause for all our speakers. Sirs and ma'am, thank you very much for joining us this morning. And what a morning it has been. I'm sure our dear scholars have picked up a lot of new things and hopefully some new inspirations and realizations about your plans in the near future. Science technology is one huge field that you can be part of, and I hope that our speakers have inspired you to continue being in this field. You can be like them someday, studying or working abroad to enrich yourselves and then coming back home to serve our people. SEI has programs to support you in your journey, and we hope that you maximize this opportunity. Once again, thank you very much to our speakers and scholars, for everyone making it in this community for this day. We hope to see you in our future activities and soon in the science community. Please visit the World Trade Center to see DOST's cool offerings for all of us at the 2017 National Science Technology Week. And also, snacks are to be served outside the venue for your scholars. And well, that closes Tech Talk back home. My name is Neil, and I thank everyone for being here. Thank you very much.